Hello and welcome to McIver's Grant Public Library's Healthy Ever After mission. This is the next video in our series, which is a partnership with UT Extension. So Miss Caitlin will be coming in after this with a video to explain your activity packet. Okay, so today's story is called Snow White and the Very Angry Dwarf. This is a book in the series by Steve Smallman where he's done fairy tales with a healthy twist. The illustrator is Neil Price, and the book was published by QEB Publishing. Once upon a time, there was a young girl called Snow White. She was lovely, but the wicked queen was jealous and wanted to get rid of her. The queen's magic mirror told her that Snow White was prettier than she was, and she wasn't having that. Snow White ran away. She came across a little cottage. Nobody was home, but the door was unlocked, so she crept inside. There were 7 little chairs around the low table in the kitchen and 7 little beds in the bedroom upstairs. "Oh my goodness," cried Snow White. 7 darling little children must live here with no one to look after them. The cottage was a mess, so Snow White set to work tidying, sweeping, polishing, and singing so sweetly that all the animals in the forest came to listen. "There," she sighed, "clean as a whistle." Soon after, Snow White heard footsteps outside. "The children are back. Come on in, my little darlings," she cried, flinging open the door, only to be greeted by 6 bearded little men. "Who are you?" asked Snow White. "I'm Shouty. I'm hairy. I'm hungry. I'm whiffy. Psst. I'm sniffy. I'm jolly," replied the dwarfs. "But who are you?" they all asked. "I'm Snow White. I was lost and I found your dear little cottage, and I'm really sorry, but I went in and I've tidied up and made some food," shouted the dwarfs, and rushed past her to attack the stew. Snow White told them her sad story while they ate. The dwarves had almost finished eating when another dwarf stormed in, looking very cross. His name was Angry. "Who is this?" he shouted rudely. "This is Snow White," said Hungry. "She's come to stay, and she's made us some delicious food." "I'm sorry, Angry, but there's no stew left," said Snow White. "How about some cake instead?" "What kind of cake?" said Angry. "Cherry cake," said Snow White. "But I hate cherries," said Angry. And then he kicked over his chair and stormed out of the cottage, slamming the door behind him. "Oh my goodness," cried Snow White. "Is he always like that?" "Yes," replied all the dwarfs together. "He always shouts at me because I'm too noisy," shouted Shouty. "He gets angry with me if he smells anything nasty, and it's not always me," said Whiffy. "He shouts at me whenever I sniff. It's not my fault. Noses run in my family," sniff Sniffy. "He gets cross with me when my tummy rumbles too loudly," mumbled Hungry. "He goes nuts just because I sometimes leave hair in the bathtub," replied Hairy. "And he gets upset with me because I'm too cheerful. It makes me laugh, and then he gets even madder," chuckled Jolly. "I think Angry is a good name for that dwarf." Snow White found Angry outside, bashing a tree trunk with a stick. "What a good idea to go off on your own when you're angry," said Snow White. "But instead of bashing a tree, why not collect firewood?" "I'd have a lot of wood," grumbled Angry. "The other dwarves make me so mad." "When they do," said Snow White, "take a deep breath, count to 10, go for a walk, collect some firewood, and when you've calmed down, tell them how you feel." "They won't listen," said Angry. "They will if they want some cake," said Snow White. Back at the cottage, Angry explained to the other dwarves why they made him so mad. "You're always sniffing, Sniffy. Couldn't you just try using a tissue?" "Okay, I'll try," said Sniffy. Snow White helped everybody to say what they thought, and nobody shouted, not even Shouty. Angry said sorry to everyone, and they all said sorry back, and when they had all had a group hug, which Whiffy spoiled just a bit. Angry was about to get mad when he remembered that Snow White had told him. He didn't dare take a deep breath. So he went outside, counted to 10, and walked off to collect some wood. Angry soon felt calmer, but he had collected so much wood that he couldn't see where he was going, and crash! There he is. He crashed into somebody. He bumped into an old lady who tumbled to the ground, dropping a shiny red apple she was carrying. The apple smashed to pieces, leaving a nasty black stain on the grass. Who was that old lady? Who was that apple made for? "You clumsy fool," screeched the old lady whose wig had fallen off. "It took me forever to make that poisoned apple for Snow White, and now it's ruined." It was the wicked queen in disguise. "We don't have any apples, but you could have a piece of cherry cake if you like," suggested Angry. Isn't Angry controlling his anger? "I hate cherries," roared the queen. "I think you could take a deep breath, count to 10, go for a walk, collect some wood, and when you come down, tell me how you feel," Angry replied calmly. The wicked queen didn't appreciate Angry's advice, so she stomped off in a huff. Snow White and the other dwarves came out to see what all the shouting was about. "Oh, Angry, thank you," cried Snow White. "You got rid of that nasty wicked queen, and you didn't even lose your temper." Then she gave him a big piece of cherry cake with all the cherries picked out. Snow White and the 7 dwarves went back to the cottage where they lived fairly happily ever after. Fairly happily ever after. And they never ran out of firewood again. Have you ever gotten really angry? Really angry and you didn't really know what to do with all of that emotion that was all pushed up inside of you? Sometimes you can do exactly what Snow White said. You can take a deep breath. You can go outside or go to a different area of the house where it's kind of quiet. You can take a deep breath. You can count to 10. Or you can collect wood or do something that would make you feel better, that would make you concentrate on that. And then talk about it when you're not quite so mad. Today we have another book as well called The Lion in Me, which also talks about anger. Have you ever felt like you had a lion in you when you were angry? This book is by Andrew Jordan Nance. He wrote the words, so he's the author. And Jim Durk is the illustrator. That means he drew the pictures. This book is published by Plum Blossom Books. My goodness, I could not get that out, could I? The Lion in Me. I have a lion in me. It's not a lion that I can see. Look, there's a little boy. He doesn't look like a lion, does he? Oh, goodness, what happened? Can you see what happened to him? Somebody wasn't paying attention and they walked right into him. What happened to his tray? It starts in my stomach first. I feel like I might burst. Oh. Look at his shadow. His shadow doesn't quite look like a little boy right now, does it? When the lion starts to growl, I want to give the biggest howl. My fist starts to clench and knot, and my face gets really hot. Can you see that lion coming out behind him in his shadow? Look at his friends. I think they're kind of scared, aren't they? My body starts to tighten and tense, and I lose all my common sense. My heart starts to beat really fast. I never know how long it will last. Oh, look, he's turning right into a lion, or he feels like he is. I wish I knew the lion's name so I could grab it by its mane. The lion can get so very wild, acting like the meanest child. Looks like an adult has come to talk to him, maybe to help him get control of that big lion. I know when the lion rears its head, when my family wants me out of bed. Oh, he doesn't like to wake up, does he? Ooh, should he throw a clock at his family? No, he's going to have to learn how to take care of this lion. Another time the lion gets in a huff if someone tries to take my stuff. I think I know the lion's name. It's anger that I have to tame. When anger starts to growl and rage, I try to breathe and say, behave. When I feel anger start to roar, I take a deep breath and count to 4. Can you do that? Deep breath. 1, 2, 3, 4. Would that help calm your lion down? Anger can calm down that way, getting tamer every day. Look how he's taking a deep breath. Very good. Some other tricks when anger shows its face. I read my favorite book in a special place. Or speak to an adult or take a walk, which can make it easier to talk. You see his tail in his shadow right there? He's still got a little bit of anger. If I notice anger starting to attack, I stop, I breathe, and it shrinks back. Oh, look at him breathing. Anger just passes right through me. I can tame it by naming it, and I feel free. Look right there. Has he tamed his anger? Has he learned how to not be a lion when he gets angry? You see his friends? They're not scared anymore, are they? So when you feel a little bit angry, you feel like maybe I can't quite keep all this inside me and there's a big lion in me, or I'm angry like the angry dwarf, you can count to 4 or you can count to 10. You can take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. You can talk to an adult, or you can talk to a friend, or you can take a walk. You can do something that you enjoy doing, like reading a book or collecting firewood. And now you're going to see what Miss Caitlin has to say about your activity packet and what you can do to help tame your lion with your activity that you can pick up here at the library. Have a great day.